Yakwe, Nisambula, and thank you all for being here today. This is a big and complex subject, but I'm going to try and keep it short and high level. What are the technologies needed to deliver an equitable transition at Pacific Island scale? This is a question our center has been researching for over a decade. Before we can answer it, first we need to understand the Pacific domestic maritime scenario. There's a lot to unpack, and for any of those who are wanting to dive deeper, our website and reference library is full of useful research material. Our domestic shipping scenario in the Pacific is not a healthy one. As maritime atoll, island, and archipelagic nations, shipping is for us as railways, canals, and freeways are for developed countries. It is our absolute lifeline. We are entirely reliant on shipping for almost all our energy, most of our food, and most manufactured products. Our domestic shipping is the only way of maintaining connectivity in island nations with EEZs measured in millions of square miles. We have the world's highest maritime connectivity prices, the longest routes. Think of miles, hundreds of miles in between atolls and islands, old fleets, and the narrowest economies, micro communities with minimal trading capacity. We will be the most impacted by the current fuel crisis. We always are. We are the most fossil fuel imported dependent region in the world. We are the most vulnerable region to climate change. Our domestic shipping services are often inadequate and substandard, except on the most profitable routes. Dozens of development reports going back decades highlight the shipping crisis for most of our countries, and especially for our most remote, poorest, and vulnerable communities. The unfortunate reality for our unique maritime geographies is that while shipping is an essential social need and first responder in times of crisis, it simply doesn't have a workable business case. We are trapped in a vicious cycle where no investment and insurance capacity means we are reliant on either old, imported, end of life, or donated aid vessels, highly limited maintenance capacity, and a rundown and undervalued labor force, requiring increasing state subsidization for basic services connectivity. It's not a new problem. SCAP well captured it in this flow diagram more than a decade ago. It is as true today. For a whole range of systematic reasons, low carbon shipping has simply failed to be recognized as an immediate priority in our region's development and climate response agenda. Too often, we continue to equate our needed energy transition only with renewable electricity generation. Almost all the limited funding that has come to researching shipping thus far has been generated out of our small government-owned center in the Marshall Islands. This situation doesn't make sense, and our research, backed up by a network of national and international experts, is clear that if we can understand the unique nature of our problem and apply the appropriate development and climate financing modalities, fuel savings of at least 40% are available to us today with existing mature technologies. There is an ever-expanding ocean of technology solutions available to the global fleet. An international revolution is now well underway. In last week alone, China has unveiled its first hydrogen-powered container ship. France announced a 62 million euro call for projects to accelerate the phase-out of fossil fuels. Norway announced it completed the largest maritime hydrogen conversion program ever attempted, placing hydrogen fuel cells on 6,000 fishing vessels. Things have slowed in the last year as the market reacts to the US and the petrostates sabotaging the IMO negotiations, but the array of new technologies is unprecedented. New fuels, new energies, new engines, new ship designs, new technology are increasingly available for most vessels and routes at large ship scale, and more is coming. What is not happening is the investment in research and development at our scale of vessels. Again, the unique makeup and constraints of our domestic scenario means that only some of these evolving technologies are applicable for us today in the Pacific. It's not a case of simply taking international market leaders and scaling them down to our micro size. MCST has been tracking a wide range of potential technologies and asking which are likely appropriate for Pacific Island deployment. Some of these are shovel-ready now. All research over the past decade or more shows that wind assist is an obvious first mover. More on that in a moment. Others are in varying stages of technical readiness. Some could be absolute game changers if they can be successfully deployed. These include wing-in-ground ships capable of island hopping without the need for runways and fast-foiling ferries at varying scales. However, there are still technical, regulatory, and capacity challenges to be overcome before we can move to Pacific trials or deployments. And others are reliant on other sectors in our countries, making major advances before we can apply them at any scale. Electricity is the obvious example. While e-mobility solutions are making huge advances in Norway, Denmark, and Australia, our countries are still heavily reliant on diesel electricity generation. Large parts of our population just don't have adequate electricity for essential services. There is no surplus for maritime application, so deployment of many electricity solutions must wait until the sector catches up and delivers a clean surplus. Wind assist was the solution the Pacific arrived at in the 1980s oil crisis. Trials of retrofits and new builds were successful then, with 30% savings proven in pilots. It ticked a lot of Pacific boxes: low-tech, adaptable, serviceable. With advances in both modern design and materials that we have even more options available now. New build wind assist rigs in hybrid designs with other efficiency measures are capable of achieving well more than 50% savings against comparable fossil fuel ships. Today, we have the Juranai, our first operational Pacific proof of concept prototype. We have a growing portfolio of designs ready, and we are following closely the market leaders, notably in France, that continue to advance proof of concept vessels. Some like the Neoline Roro, Windcoop's container ship, and the TOWT freighter. They're still too large for our needs here in the Pacific, but they set exciting precedents demonstrating what is possible. Our research has identified a range of vessel sizes and types common across most Pacific countries. This slide shows some existing examples of wind assist vessels and designs that could be suitable for Pacific routes. Some vessel designs are available now, and the ships could be built tomorrow if the funding was there. Others are in development, and others require further research and development to convert to Pacific appropriate vessels. Our advice to the Pacific Blue Shipping Partnership is that the next transition step is to build, design, deploy, and operate a demonstration fleet of representative vessels on a range of routes across several countries. Our private shipping sector is thin, already heavily stretched, and undercapitalized. None are going to invest in new technologies and vessels without real-time proof of concept in full Pacific Island trials. Low-carbon shipping is a fast-developing field. There are multiple technologies that need to be tracked and assessed for their appropriateness. More uncoordinated pilot projects simply won't move us at anywhere near the speed and scale necessary. Structured and well-resourced theory of change is required. This graphic captures the one we have been developing for the Pacific Blue Shipping Partnership. With adequate appropriate investment, the initial RMI and Fiji NDC targets are achievable with available policy, operational, and technology measures. Moving past this, achieving full decarbonization will ultimately require access to alternative fuels and technologies not yet at market. Ongoing investment in research and development will be essential. There isn't time to unpack this further, but the link to our research behind this theory of change is on screen, and we welcome comments and Talonor. On a last point, John, before I hand it back to you, the transition to low carbon comes on top of the already significant challenges facing in this sector. The orange arrow at the top references four key foundational measures we have identified as prerequisites to a successful technology transition. The transition requires informed and empowered people, long-term investment in education, training, and research across the sector. So think of seafarers, operators, policymakers, regulators. That's the first step. We must be able to maintain the technology. At the moment, we don't have even working slipways in most countries. The technology will only be efficient if we can maintain and operate it effectively. Access to maritime data and the capacity to maintain it and analyze it is critical, and currently almost non-existent. We won't know if we are being successful in our transition if we can't measure it. And finally, we need to seriously strengthen the institutional capacity of our small teams of overworked and under-resourced maritime regulators and policymakers.